Welcome back to Backward Point Podcast. My name is Nazar Sayed, and with me, as always, is my brother and co-host Bashar Sayed, who might be a secret mentor in the Champions Cup. We're not sure. They're hiring any and everybody these days. But for first and foremost, actually, new setup, completely new setup. We've been MIA for a very long time. Bashar, do you want to say hi to the fans before we get into what's going on here? What is this?
Hello, and welcome back to a new season,
A new season?
and brand new season of the Backward Point podcast. This is our first episode back in about a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
We were busy moving houses,
Yes.
and welcome to our new studio that we've built. We've converted our office room into this podcast studio.
Yes, shout out to my wife who helped us paint this entire room into a secluded forest green. You can check it out by Behr, Behr. Not sponsored at all, but I like the color.
Painting this room made me realize that painting is also a skill.
It's tough.
It's tough. I mean, the first wall we did was pretty bad.
Horrible. It's the one right behind me. I think we did like 3 coats on that wall.
3 coats.
And then by the time we got to the last wall, I think we kind of figured it out, but we were out of paint by then. And I don't know, on camera, I would love people to tell us how it looks like. We wanted to do it like a forest green, like a deep forest green, because that's somehow what Pakistan cricket is. It's a lost. It's like Pakistan cricket is similar to when you are lost in a forest. You're in. There's no compass. There's no map. It's deep, thick green bushes. You're just chafing away, trying to find a way out. That's Pakistan cricket. That's what we're surrounded in, and we will do a new studio tour because off to my left is my bookcase. Behind you is the other bookcase because it's sort of going to be like a makeshift multi-purpose studio.
And we also have some cricket memorabilia that we have collected over the years. There is a signed shirt. This is my playing jersey, by the way, from back in the days.
Kids, the one behind.
Back when I used to play cricket with those guys. That's my playing shirt.
He's talking about the one that's on my right.
And we'll walk you through exactly who has signed this shirt. And I'd love to do some numbers as to how many international runs, wickets, matches are on this shirt.
Yes,
insane and then shirt. To my left is a signed shirt by the championship winning Islamabad United squad of PSL 9.
Yes, 100%. And we will do a complete tour specifically and specially for our Patreon followers and subscribers, our Patreon fam. We haven't been giving them a lot of attention lately just because of the way that life has been moving. But we're coming back with the bang, and all of this stuff will be available on our Patreon. So join on the link below. And we have a lot of really interesting stuff in the pipeline, Bashar. There's a website, there's merch, there's digital merch,
newsletter.
There's a lot is going on. Lots going to be coming out in the next few months. So guys, please check out Backward Point in all their spaces.
As Talhanjum once said, "Ghar mein studio banaya. I don't rent it."
I don't rent. We never rented it, to be fair. So I feel like this has been applied to us for a very long time.
At one point, we did book a makerspace podcast studio back in the day. Like I'm talking like 5 years back.
This is like the inception of this podcast
in Pickering.
Yes, and if you want to watch that very first episode, I believe it's on Patreon.
It is.
We uploaded it. It's like I don't even know. It's not that bad. I mean, but it's like way in the
when I look back on old Backward Point episodes or even just like old podcast episodes that we've done, I cringe.
Do you?
And I think that's part of growth.
Do you look at the Islamabad United podcast episodes and cringe?
Now, yes.
Really?
Yes.
Okay. I don't have that experience. I feel like we did a really good job there.
We did a good job. I'm not denying that.
Toot our own horn, but I feel like that was,
But I feel like and this is not, I'm trying to stay humble here, but after the whole Islamabad United gig, I feel like we've transcended being a fan of cricket.
Mm-hmm.
Like once you're rubbing shoulders with the players, once you're hanging out with them, once they become your friends, you look at cricket differently. You look at the players differently. You empathize with them more, and you develop like certain feelings for them as well.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, especially it was a weird feeling to see all those players in the 2024 T20 World Cup because more than half that team we kind of personally knew. And yeah, it's just one of those things where I guess that's just life now. What do you want?
Yeah, I think like with cricketers, like just being a cricketer in Pakistan, there's a certain level of insanity involved for you to leave your studies, pursue cricket full time, which is sort of volatile in Pakistan. One minute you can be in the team, next minute you're not even in a domestic team. So there's a lot of extremes you can be as a Pakistani player. So I have tons of respect, but also I empathize with these players coming from humble backgrounds, leaving everything that they know to pursue cricket as their profession.
You know what's insane? We knew half the people in the Pakistan cricket team, but we know everybody. Well, all the entire Islam United team is playing this Champions Cup, barring maybe Azam and a few others. But this is a weird thing as well because like I know Qasim Akram, and you know Qasim Akram hit hit Haris Rauf for a four on the first ball, and then got caught by Abrar on third man. Brilliant catch by Abrar. And I was like, ooh, I feel bad for him because I really want him to score runs. And there's like so many other players like that in the Champions Cup that I'm following closely that were in, the B side, B camp of the Islamabad United camp, or we just saw them in and around Islamabad United. And it was one of those things where the Champions Cup has really opened my eyes on that. Now, we do want to talk about the Champions Cup, and with a lot of things coming in, there has been a viral video that I do want to talk about as well when we come to Babar Azam, where Jared Kimber, from the YouTube cricket folk, I don't know, he's everywhere. He does a lot of work. Jared does, and he dissected a weakness in Babar Azam's footwork, and that's gone viral. Rightly so. Jared's been doing really good stuff in the cricket space. So I'm really happy for him. I'm really happy to see that he's finding success in that level. And I want to dissect that with you because I know that you're a number one batting coach in Canada. So, what do you think about that? What do you think about Jared Kimber's video? I know you've seen it. And what do you think about that as a dissection? And then, what do you think about Babar Azam coming back and scoring a heap of runs? First century in a year, 386 days?
Well, lots to talk about this episode.
Yeah.
But before we can get into anything,
There we go.
is sponsored proudly by Yashi Sports, Canada's home of cricket. If you're a pro player starting off, actually that's wrong. If you're a beginner starting off, or whether you're a pro player and you need equipment, expert advice, Yashi Sports is your spot to do it.
People want to know if you bought the thigh pad yet.
Well, honestly speaking, cricket season is over for us right now. Share CC lost in the quarterfinals, sadly. Big upset there. So I don't need thigh pads right now. But once I go back into the season, like the off season, to work on my batting, work on my bowling, I'm going to need new shoes, thigh pad, maybe a new helmet. You know what I'm going to use? I'm going to go to Yashi Sports. I'm going to use the code BP10 for an exclusive 10% off my next purchase.
Honestly, guys, we're tracking the BP10 codes and you guys aren't using the codes. And we really want you guys to save those extra 10%. Put some money back in your pocket, guys. Like, this is the time. And with the new season starting, off season in, and people going back into the nets to practice and get their techniques right, use BP10, book facilities with Yashi. Let them know that we sent you guys.
Support Yashi Sports. They work incredibly hard. They're supporting cricket on the grassroots level. They're sponsoring young players in Canada. And we've seen them firsthand work incredibly hard at the GT20. So love to support Yashi Sports. And it's great to be supported by Yashi Sports as well.
100%. Now back to Babar Azam's toe.
That's a crazy way to put it. Okay, firstly, like, I am no batting coach. As you guys have seen my expertise in batting in the Muhammad Nawaz video. It's out there for the world.
People want to know your footwork. How does one leave a ball like that? And what would you tell Babar Azam?
Hey, easier to talk cricket than to play cricket.
Hashtag Yuvraj Singh. Those who know know.
UV, you know it, bro. I think, so I've seen Babar from his debut days, actually from his under 19 days to him playing up until yesterday in the Champions Cup. So I've seen Babar's technique evolve. I've seen him go through rough patches. I've seen him get out of rough patches. But this one just seems like it's been going on for a while. And especially when you dissect and analyze his modes of dismissal, starting out from last year. And we were talking about this as well. Like, it's just in that ODI World Cup, Babar Azam went in as the number one ranked ODI batter. And some of the modes of his dismissals were just sad, like clipped down the leg side against Sri Lanka, caught mid-wicket against Netherlands, caught mid-wicket again, short ball against England. And recently we've seen Babar struggle on the fourth stump line, whether it's the ball going away, getting nicked off, slips, keeper, or if the ball nips back into the stumps, he's struggling with the bold and LBW. So I'm not sure how much the toe has to do anything with it. I think if you critically and overly analyze, maybe the toe has to do something with it. But I think something more interesting was what Usman Samiti highlighted. He said that there's so much instability and changing within the Pakistan cricket setup. Who does Babar Azam trust to be like, okay, you're my batting coach. Let me talk to you. And in the past few months, Mohammad Yusuf has come and gone. Adam Holyoke has come and gone. Matthew Hayden was a mentor for a while. And I think now there's somebody else in the batting consultant role. Misbah was there in the past. Yunus Khan was there. So who does Babar Azam really go to and trust and be like, okay, can you analyze my batting? Can you tell me what's going on here? I heard Imad Wasim recently talk in an interview to Pak Passion that whenever he's going through a rough patch, he talks to coaches who have known him since he was a kid. And for him, Mickey Arthur is that guy who he goes to for expert advice because he trusts Mickey, because he knows that Mickey has Imad's best interest for him. At this point, who does Babar go to and be like, hey, can you help me with my batting?
That's a very good question. I think also, as you get to the top, it gets lonelier at the top. That's what we've heard. And unless you could go out there and seek help, help will not seek you.
What
That's
you
what.
seek is seeking you. Rumi.
Yes, but I don't know. Is Babar seeking help? Because help is definitely not seeking him. And what happens in that case is that, like, if we go back to someone who was at the top of his game and still at the top of the game, Virat Kohli, he went out and sought help. He went, got his fitness coaches, got his batting coaches. He spent his extra mileage, extra capital on making sure that his game was at the top, and he stayed there for a very, very long time. It's very hard to do that. Um, Now, I don't know what is going on specifically with Babar Azam. I would love to see if it's just how much of this is complacency, how much of it is just, oh, I am Pakistan's best batsman and nobody's going to take that away from me until, the doors are starting to shut on him. And, we've said this many times, it's kind of a running gag, but Kamal Ghulam is knocking, and he definitely is knocking at the number 4 spot in tests and number 3 in ODIs. So Babar had one job to do in the Champions Cup was toe or not toe, make runs. And I think what we've seen is that that's happening. He scored a century after a big long time, a couple of 50s, 145 as well. I think those are big runs. Those are good starts. And that century definitely probably gave him a lot of confidence.
Well, numbers in the Champions Cup say that Babar Azam is still Pakistan's best batsman.
No one
But
comes close, by the way.
here's the issue I have with the Champions Cup, and I think we haven't really gotten into the origination of the Champions Cup and what this means.
The ideation and the execution of what this actually is. A
Exactly.
vanity project for a vanity king.
But just a comment on Babar's runs or performances within the Champions Cup is it's a batting paradise. It's a flat Faisalabad pitch. Teams batting first are scoring heaps of runs, and
No,
nobody has been able to chase in this tournament. As of now, recording this episode, 8 matches have been played, and the team batting first has won all 8 matches. At this point, it's sort of a one-sided affair. Whoever bats first, even if you score like 230, you know you're going to defend the score.
why is that? How is it batting paradise if the first innings score is always unchaseable?
I think
Explain
in
that
the
to me.
first innings, it's a batting paradise. So like 300 is being scored, and second innings, I think what is the moisture? Is it the dew? But people aren't able to chase in the second innings.
So stats, let's talk numbers because we love that. Out of the 8 games that have been played, only 300 has been scored 4 times, and a lot of those times in the first innings I'm talking about, and under 250 has been scored way more than that. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 under 250 innings in the last 16. So what I'm trying to say is that maybe your claim of it being a batting paradise, it's not true because sometimes teams are scoring 231 in the first innings. And then like today, teams are scoring 367 in the first innings. It's a different strip all the time. I think there's 4 or 5 strips being used, and that's just the case.
Listen, I think I have PTSD from all of the players who were top performers the last PSL who weren't able to convert their performances to the Pakistan team.
But
So I'm not sure what to trust. Like, do we and like for example, if Iftikhar Ahmed has been Pakistan's top performer in domestic the last 3 years, 4 years, and once he comes in the Pakistan team, like he shows glimpses of brilliances. but he's not able to win Pakistan matches.
That's true. But straight up numbers wise, I'm just saying that the Pindi pitch is completely different than the Faisalabad pitch. And I'm glad that's why everybody was so happy that Faisalabad was getting cricket, was because it's a different ball game altogether, to quote Bakar Yunus.
One
And
of the
so-
mentors.
One of the mentors. But that's what I'm saying. Like, that I rate these runs just a bit higher than I would a PSL run or a domestic run that's being played in Pindi.
I don't know, man. You have a Kamran Ghulam agenda.
Kamran Ghulam is number one right now with 4 innings and 247 runs made.
It's
at
part
60
of the
61 average, my boy.
the agenda.
has.
KG.
But then the king comes. I had 3 innings, 225 runs, average of 112.5. And then Imam Haq is at number 3 somehow with 63 average at 189 runs. So
Strike rate?
it's a good question. Let me open it up.
So Imam's strike rate has been an issue in ODIs.
Strike rate is pretty good, 94 strike rate, not bad. Strike rate for Babar and Karman are both 100. Karman is 101.6. He has 2 centuries. Babar has 1 and has a 50 as well. And I don't know. It's a good.
This is the other thing. Babar Azam right now can't even buy a 50 in test matches if he wants to.
Yes.
But then he comes into this Champions Cup and scores heaps of runs.
Yes.
So
I also believe this is the first time Babar has played a domestic series in over 2 or 3 years.
I think the last domestic cup that a lot of our national team players have played was the National T20 Cup in 2021.
Yeah.
That happened right before the T20 World Cup. That was one of the highest quality produced tournaments in the PCB. We had speed guns. I'm
Yeah.
a huge fan of speed guns.
No speaking at the Champions Cup.
None.
Is that to hide the fact that we don't have quality pace bowling, or is that to protect that?
It's because we can't afford speed guns.
There we go. What is the capital on that?
I don't know.
I would love to see invoice on how much speed guns are costing. No DRS either, right?
No DRS. And
There we
some of the dismissals we've seen were just horrendous.
Yes. That's Pakistani umpiring for you.
Okay. Let's get into the ideation of the Champions Cup. Why was this needed? Who launched this? Why now? We'll try to answer those questions as we go through in this segment of the podcast. So PCB launched a brand new domestic tournament labeled Champions Cup. Hashtag discovering champions.
There we go.
As a marketing guy, what did you think of that hashtag?
Brilliant. 10 out of 10.
As a Pakistan team who has not won an ICC tournament in the last 7 years, hashtag discovering champions. Not bad.
Discovering champion. So in order to discover something, it has to be there and you have to like find it. So right, you discover oil, right? You discover light. A lot of things are being discovered. Gravity. This is weird. In order to say you're discovering champions, you are insinuating that champions are among us, which a lot of people would deny. 2017 Champions Trophy was the last time you won anything in the ICC. It's been a very long time, inching to 10 years. I don't know if we're discovering champions.
So this tournament will be played on the domestic level for Pakistan. It's going to be played in all 3 formats every single year. So in first class, 4-day, 1-day, 50 overs, T20s, and the national team players who play for Pakistan will be obliged to play when they are available. They will be pushed to play the T20s at least to make the tournament more competitive. Pakistan Cricket Board has brought back a lot of nostalgia with the naming of these teams. They've named them Stallions, Panthers, Dolphins, Wolves, which was then renamed as Markhor, and then Lions. These used to be OG Pakistan domestic cricket teams.
Faisal Cup.
Faisal Bank Cup.
Yep.
ABN AMRO Cup.
There we go.
Bank
Those
Cup,
who know,
whatever.
know, man. Those who know. I was there for Karachi.
Karachi Dolphins.
For Karachi Dolphins, I was there for them.
You look like a Karachi Zebras guy.
Nah, man. It was always the Dolphins because of Shahid Afridi. You know this. And I was there for that final. Stallions versus Dolphins, bro. In Karachi Stadium. I was there.
Our bad luck was that we were Karachi Dolphins fans, and Dolphins used to always lose against Stallions in the finals.
Because Stallions was stacked. Stallions was like, what?
Shoaib Malik led. They had Imran Nazir, Rana Naveed, Haris Sohail, Shoaib Malik himself.
I remember like 8 out of the 11 were like international active players that were in the setup.
But they also knew how to win.
Fair enough.
Like Karachi wasn't bad. The Karachi had Shazib Hassan, Fawad Alam, Shahid Afridi, Tanveer Ahmed, Mohammad Sami.
Yeah.
Some really good, talented guys.
Davish
Khan.
Yeah.
Asad Shafiq.
There we go.
Sarfaraz himself.
Yeah. That was a good while. I remember I saw The only time I've met and ran into Sarfaraz was before that cup, before that final. I was driving in Gulistan and Johor near Lal Flat, and near the Ghostwala, I saw Sarfaraz in his Civic, just chilling. Probably coming back from PIA Cricket Academy, and I was like, "Yo, Sarfaraz!" And Sarfaraz like waved at me and drove away. That's like my highlight for a very long time. I was like, I saw Sarfaraz Ahmed in like 2009.
I think one of the games we watched in the OG domestic tournament was Stallions versus Dolphins.
Yeah, the final.
This was 2005. It was around my birthday, so it was like March 5th.
Okay.
And that match was actually abandoned because the fans threw rocks,
Bottles. Ashraf Malik.
rocks. Like they
Yeah.
threw something at the players and they had to abandon the match.
Yeah. This was before like
This
we
is
were
this is
banned.
2005.
So we had like abundance of cricket at the time. We had like India touring and like England touring and New Zealand touring. Like we were like just the good old days.
So these tournaments, every team will have 30 players. They plan to branch this off into women's cricket, to under 19 cricket. Every team is scheduled to have a high performance center where these players will go train. There's support staff, there's trainers, there's nutritionists, physiotherapists, coaches, which is different from the mentors. And the PCB assigned 5 mentors for these teams: Misbah ul Haq, Shoaib Malik, Saklan Mushtaq, Sarfaraz Ahmed, and Waqar Yunus. Waqar Yunus, who just a few weeks ago was the advisor to the chairman on cricketing affairs, has taken is this a demotion? This is a promotion? Like he's now a mentor of a domestic team?
It's a demotion of role, promotion, and salary. Probably. I don't think
Okay.
he's getting paid that much as just an advisor. But maybe he advises the chairman to do this, and then he's playing the long game. Vicky Bhai is like 3 steps ahead of everybody else.
No conflict of interest there.
None at all.
These 5 mentors have been signed up for 3 years. Job security is very important. And they're being paid 5 million PKR per month for these 3 years. And I did some math, and making 5 million PKR means that they're getting paid more than 90% of the Pakistani centrally contracted players. So they make more money than Fakhar Zaman, Naseem Shah, Mohammad Nawaz, and
Harsh
only Rizwan, Babar, and Shaheen.
Make just a smidge more, by the
Just
way.
a bit.
Just a little
They
bit.
make 6 million PKR per month, and these guys make 5 million PKR per month.
Insane. Like, it does not make sense. I think Usman Samiuddin and Emmer in their Butta Fast episode covered it very, very eloquently. I would urge people to check that out. The rant is amazing by Emmer and Usman, actually. Both were quite pissed off about this, which is completely fair. I would be too. It doesn't make sense at all. I don't understand why that kind of money is being spent on mentors. And then what exactly is the role definition of these mentors? Because Sarfraz was playing the last game. So does that mean that Waqar Yunus could also step in? Like, what is going on? It does not make sense at all.
So Pakistan does need a leading fast bowler.
Bro, there we go.
And if Saklan Mushtaq comes back, we
Spinning
have
problem.
a leading spinner.
We have a spinning problem solved.
Let's
Is
get
that,
it.
is that what the PCB is like devising at the end of the day? Let's get these old heads back into the greens. I've met Saki. I don't think Saki can fit into a Pakistan shirt anytime soon. No offense.
Maybe an
Man's-
oversized one.
Man's chilling too much. He needs to hit the gym. But yeah, it's like one of those things where if they do encounter these players, like Shoaib Malik was eyeing a international spot 6 months ago. So Faraz is still an international player. He was in the squad. Like look at the wild nature of this PCB. Pakistan has lost a series against Bangladesh for the first time ever. The repercussions of which will be felt for years to come. And Sarfraz is in that squad who just lost. And 20 minutes later has to do a press conference about the Champions Cup because he's a mentor. Does not make sense at all. And he was just keeping in the last game that I saw.
And some of these mentors are very funny in the sense where Misbah was a former coach, selector, batting consultant just a few years ago. Waqar Yunus was the assistant bowling coach under that same Misbah tenure. Saklan Mushtaq then comes in to replace Misbah as a coach for a year or so. Shoaib Malik was a player just a few years ago, talking smack against the current players on TV. And I'm actually shocked that Shoaib Malik took on this role because I thought his interest would be more into media and hosting, and that's what he's been doing the past few years post his playing career.
Bro, it's the price tag. 5 million, bro. At 50 lakh rupees per month, which is how much? $25,000 a month. If they asked you, you would take the job.
100%. I'm there.
Like
I'm
you would
there.
quit backward point like this and you would take the job. Like it's just the price tag's too much. Like it doesn't make sense to pay these guys this much when what are the KPIs? What
Exactly.
how will they be judged on this?
Yeah.
So wait, like,
That's
let's say who's number one, right? Markhor is number one. Who's the mentor for Markhor? Is that Misbah?
Marcor is Mesbah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so he's number one right now, right? Let me just double check this before I say that. I believe he is though. Yes, Marcor is number one with 4 matches, 3 wins and a loss. So let's say Marcor wins the whole thing, right? And Dolphins is number three, so that's Afraz, right?
Yeah.
So does that mean that Misbah is a better mentor, so he should continue, and then Sarfraz should get fired? Like, how does it?
Well,
What?
it's a 3-year deal.
It's a 3 year deal, so make it make sense to me, right?
So what Mohsin Naqvi came out to say as to why the Champions Cup was needed, he said that they wanted this tournament to bridge the gap between first class and internationals. And
Do you think it's
having
doing
a
that?
huh?
Do you think it's doing that?
I do think it's more competitive versus just our normal domestic setup. There's more teams there. And when Imran Khan came as a prime minister, he brought in this new system, which was 6 teams, and he squeezed the talent pool down within these 6 teams, and then there was like second 11s. So I would say the Pakistani cricketing pool went down to in total about like 300 people versus like 1,000 that was before. So once Imran Khan left as prime minister, they brought back the old constitution, which brought back the regions and departments, which is a whole different story. And this tournament just seems like a hybrid model of what Imran Khan wanted and what the current setup wants.
So this is where my question comes a bit more philosophical. Let's take it like in a macroscopic level. What are your thoughts about this Champions Cup? Because for me, on paper, having these 3 tournaments every year for the next 3 years at the level that it is, because I've seen a lot of these games and trust me, they're actually quite fun. And the Faisalabad crowd, shout out to you guys, pulling up like 50 to 60% full in every single game. And then the Babar games are like 100% full, right? So these guys really want their cricket, which is making it more competitive. A lot of these people don't play in front of full crowds, like or no crowds at all, right? To play against these full crowds, gives it a whole different kind of pressure. And the way that it's been broadcasted, there's actually some money in there as well. People are actually tuning in. I think yesterday in one of the live streams there were about 65,000 people watching. That's a lot of people. So all in all, I think it's a good initiative. Is it a vanity project for a, a chairman that's also the one of the federal ministers of the country? Yes, but does that make it less important if it succeeds?
I think my initial thoughts are it's good to have a tournament like this because otherwise in our domestic setup there's a lot of volume of players, but we don't see enough competition. So having 5 teams with top players and having the Pakistan national players playing as well definitely makes it more competitive. Adds a different flavor to it. I feel we need to give these tournaments more time to actually see the results of this. So we have seen some few impressive talents emerge, but again, we need more. We need to give these players these tournaments more time. One of the additional things that most enough you mentioned was that the PCB right now is struggling because they don't have a huge database of stats and numbers for these players. And that's why they can't build a bench strength or a pipeline of players. But these tournaments, because they're broadcasted, there's stats involved, they can then use these stats in the future to find players at number 5, number 6, and just dissect and analyze their stats based on these numbers. So, uh, initial thoughts, good, but I feel it's very important for this tournament to stay and for it not just to be another Pakistan Junior League, which was Ramiz Raja's vanity project.
What I read was that they're going to put this tournament into the constitution of the 2014 PCB legislature. So they're going to make it a thing.
Well, good because Ramiz didn't do that with the PGL, and that costed Pakistan. And the reason why I keep bringing up the PGL was because it costed Pakistan a lot of money. There was huge criticism for it, and it never continued, so we never really got to see the fruits of its investments. The PCB invested about $3.6 million to have the PGL. I think it happened in 2022, I believe. Um, and they only made back about 0.7 million USD of that. So it lost the PCB money. But
$3 million almost.
but exactly. And Ramiz pushed to have this tournament done. We were lucky enough to speak to one of the captains of the PGL, Shamil Hussain at Islamabad United. And Shamil also had some mixed feelings. Shamil mentioned that it was good for these tournaments to be broadcasted on TV. And it was good to share a dressing room with mentors like Viv Richards and Shahid Afridi and Imran Tahir, because you get to pick their brains, but then also get real time guidance from them, which typically you don't get to do. And when most of our under 19 guys play tournaments, like regional tournaments, they're not even broadcasted. So for them to play in front of crowds at the Gaddafi Stadium with sponsorships and a lot of stakes, a lot of media attention, he felt like that really helped in the grooming of those players. The criticism on that tournament was that why are you encouraging under 19 guys to play 20 overs? Why not get them to play 4-day cricket? But then who's going to watch that 4-day cricket tournament? I think another mistake with the PGL was that instead of using the existing PSL branding, Ramiz and team went down to like launch new teams,
Which made no sense.
which made no sense.
Like, why couldn't you just have an under 19 Islam United team and have Shamil captain that?
Yes.
And then he could also just like lead. Like, you know how the Premier League does this? I think all of the teams are a lot of the teams have their own academies, and then they have their own under 19, under 17, under 14 teams where a lot of these players rise their rank up through that. Like, I follow Leicester City. So Leicester City had Harvey Barnes in it, and he came through the ranks, and then he got sold for I think Tottenham or one of them. But he played all through Leicester. He was there for a couple of years, and he got sold. And Leicester made money off of him. He made money, and he came through the system.
I watched
That's the way to do it.
The David Beckham documentary on Netflix, and he also came through Man U's academies.
Yeah.
So yeah, there needs to be some sort of structure, because in the PSL there is a rule where you need to draft about 2 players under 19, and one of them has to be in the playing 11 of the matches. So this PGL had potential. We could have used this to feed off players going into the PSL and then eventually the Pakistan team.
Yeah. It would have been a direct line of how you get into this team. But again, it doesn't make sense. But a few podcasts ago, I made a hot take where I said, you know what? I liked the vibe of Mohsin Naqvi. Do you think that hot take is being proven correctly as the time goes by? Or is it that it's too early to tell? Also, why are these mentors being paid ridiculous amounts of money? Like, a lot of the capital allocation does not make sense, but the idea roughly around the edges is a good idea.
I don't think Mohsin Naqvi is a bad guy, but I feel like he lacks cricket intuition and knowledge, and he relies heavily on cricketers around him and the PCB bureaucracy to guide him to do certain things. I'm sure he has the final call, but if you're relying on people like Waqar Yunus and Misbah to give you expert advice, and then you're just acting up on that, you don't know if they have any agendas of their own or whether they're misguiding you. So I'm just scared whether Mohsin Naqvi is being sold a dummy or not.
Why would you think that?
Well, because he has no cricketing background. If you look at it, his most important job is to be the Interior Minister of Pakistan. Critical, like, this is how the PCB takes the chairmanship job as a joke. Mohsin Naqvi is a senator. He is the Interior Minister of Pakistan. He also is the CEO or the group media head for this channel called City Media House. And then he's also the chairman of the PCB. So that just shows you the non-seriousness with probably the most important role in Pakistan,
which is the PCB chairman.
Correct.
Yeah, this doesn't make sense at all. Like, yeah. How long is this term for? 3 years?
3 years. Well, I mean, no, actually, it really depends on who the prime minister is.
But regardless of that, is like a minimum term supposed to be 3 years and then he gets extended, or
I think it is 3 years.
Yeah, somebody check us on that, because I would love to know how much a chairman is supposed to be there, and then what are the extensions like. Yeah, I mean, so far he is a mixed bag, but he's not as incompetent as Ijaz Butt, and he's not as incompetent as who's the other one? The one that kicked out
Zakasha?
Zaka Ashraf. Yeah, he's not giving those vibes. He's giving more of a Najm Sethi plus bureaucracy vibe, which I don't hate. What do you think?
Yeah.
Am I misreading this person? Because I don't want to look back at this podcast 6 months from now and be like, oh, by the way, Gaddafi is still not built.
No, I like the fact that he is renovating stadiums. That should have been done like 20 years ago. But even now, like given the Champions Trophy is a few months away, and Pakistan gets to host it, it's really important that we do renovate these stadiums for just a better viewing experience for the fans. And the
No.
fans are the biggest stakeholders of cricket.
Now, I don't know what the renovations look like, but I'm looking at these other grounds in Pakistan, like Faisalabad, like Rawalpindi, like Multan, and honestly, all of them have better views from the stands, as I can tell, just because the proximity of where the ground is, where the balls are being hit after they're being hit for sixes, and how low those fences are. They have better proximity and a lot more fun attitude than these big Gaddafi stadiums and Karachi National Stadiums have.
Also, the crowds in Faisalabad and Pindi are wild.
They pull up, bro.
Like one of my friends is from Faisalabad and he's seen Shoaib Akhtar ball against England in the 2005 test series. And he told me like Shoaib Akhtar running in from the boundary to ball. The whole Faisalabad stadium was silent when he's coming in. Like you can really hear the thuds of Shoaib Akhtar's run up. And then they're building him up as he's walking in, like, oh, and then he comes into ball.
Yeah.
Like that is peak Faisalabad crowd.
Yeah. And I miss that in cricket because now it's sort of been centralized to Gaddafi and Karachi, and it's just like it's not it. So I would love to see what kind of renovations they're actually making, because if it's just a media center central revamp, then that's a shame.
I think one more thing we forget to take into consideration is that Pakistan had no international cricket being played in Pakistan since 2009 until it
17.
came back about like 7-8 years later, like officially, like fully back.
Yeah.
So
So a full era, full generation of Pakistani cricketers did not play at home.
and kids who did not see the Pakistan heroes growing up, like I think Asad Shafiq or Azhar Ali played their first test match in Pakistan 7, 8, 9 years into their career, which
Yeah.
is crazy, right? So BCB, by having these matches in that period in UAE, lost a lot of money on tickets, on sponsorship, and there is more interest when cricket is actually happening in your home cities.
Yep, 100%, 100%. Let's talk a little bit about the bowling aspect of it, because we talked about the batting aspect of it, which has been impressive. I hope that from this, Pakistan finds a solid middle order campaigner that can take Pakistan in. But the bowling, if I told you that in the top 5 wicket takers in the middle of this tournament, only one would be in the top 5 from the starting lineup of the Pakistan cricket team, which is Shahid Shah Afridi, and he's also at number 5 with the best figures of 3 for 57.
What's his economy?
6.9. It's insane. Like, what is happening? The number one bowler right now, striking right now, with 3 matches, 3 innings, is Jahandad Khan. He's taken 9 wickets with the best of 4 for 49 at an average of 11 and economy of 4.76.
And he can bat.
And he can bat.
He can smash some big sixes. He was playing for Lahore Qalandars this PSL. And I think he's a pretty exciting talent to watch out for. If he's groomed properly, he could be another like good hard hitting all rounder.
Hasnain looks good, man. Hasnain took a fifer in this tournament. Zahid Mahmood, the wristy, took a fifer. Like, these guys are really stepping up. Mehran Mumtaz is up there also in a top 5, stealing the spots of Muhammad Nawaz and our boy Imad Wasim. I'm sorry.
Well, Imad doesn't play 50 overs anymore.
I'm just saying, like, he's one of those people that kept coming in the running of why Mehran Mumtaz should not go to the World Cup, or why Mehran Mumtaz should not stay in the BCB, into the Pakistan T20 setup. But he's out here in the 50 overs, longer format, taking more wickets, better economy. And then you come in with Shaheen Afridi and Agha Salman and Naseem Shah at 5, 6, and 7. Naseem Shah's still pretty bad, a lot better than what Shaheen is doing numbers wise. Shaheen does have an extra wicket, but Naseem has taken 6 wickets at 3 for 27 being his best, at an economy of 5.5, average of 24. What is going on with these guys? These are the premier bowlers, star bowlers, and they're one's at 6.9, one's at 5.5. and their averages are at 29 and 24 respectively. What's going on?
I think they're just struggling, firstly, with workload management. And secondly, I think they're struggling to switch between red ball and white ball. We just talked about how the Bangladesh series ended. Then Naseem and Shaheen missed the second test match, but they're back now in the white ball setup, only to be going back into red ball within the next 2 weeks because the England series is right in front of us.
So it doesn't make sense. The one thing criticism that what I would have, apart from the monetary aspect of it, where the money is being allocated, is the timing of this. And I think it's so weird that one of the mentors came out, Shoaib Malik, was like, "Yeah, the timing is sus. We understand that. We hopefully will get it better next time." And I'm like, okay, like you know that it sucks.
And this is one of Pakistan's busiest calendars
Yeah.
coming up. Like Pakistan has test versus England, and then they have a white ball tour to Australia, and then they're touring Zimbabwe, and they're touring South Africa. Then West Indies comes to Pakistan, and then we have the Tri Series with New Zealand and South Africa.
Then
And we have
Champions
the
Trophy.
Champions Trophy, and then Pakistan goes for a white ball tour to New Zealand, and then the PSL. And this was really the only available window we had for the international players to be available. And PCB just squeezed in this tournament right here.
Do you think? Well, I guess it's a premature to say, but will this tournament have any positive impact on the Champions Trophy campaign?
Well, I hope that I feel like the performances from these tournaments, like this tournament, will be highlighted and they'll be used to pick the team for the Pakistan Champions Trophy. Pakistan has not played an ODI in a while, so I'm not sure what setup or dynamic they're going to be using. And to be frank, I'm not even sure if Babar Azam is going to remain Pakistan's white ball captain.
He forfeited his captaincy allegedly in the Champions Cup.
This was interesting. I heard Shoaib Malik's press conference, and when Shoaib Malik was asked who is he going to make captain of the Stallions team, he said, "I will make that person captain who can be groomed, who has the ability to captain, and who has leadership abilities, and does not play for just his personal milestones." Lo and behold, he makes Mohammad Haris the captain. And it is a crazy dynamic in the Stallions team where Shoaib Malik is mentor, Babar Azam is coming in as a player, Shan Masood, the test captain who took the test captaincy away from Babar Azam, is in the same team. And Mohammad Haris, of all the people, is captaining both Babar Azam and Shan Masood with Shoaib Malik as the mentor. Shoaib Malik, who tweeted when Pakistan lost the Asia Cup that friendships, likes, and dislikes is ruining the team. And I don't know what else he said.
Put a camera in there and make this a reality TV show.
Well, they mic'd up Sarfaraz Ahmed in one of the
Loved it.
huddles.
I love that. That was so cool. That was like an NBA level, like tech, and they have this tech. Give me more of this. Like obviously tell the players that they're mic'd up so they don't go crazy. But that's insane to me. Like they have that technology. They're doing that. Give me more of that. I think that's insane. But coming back to your point, like Mohammad Haris right now is not in the Pakistan setup, which is insane to me. Like we've been lamenting about this for a very long time. He was one of our first guests on the podcast that actually blew up. You can check out that episode right now.
And because of that, we have an agenda to get him back in the
get
Pakistan
him get
team.
him back in the team. He's just a really good player, man. He's just a really good player. He has that dog in him, and yeah, just insane stuff.
I think this tournament was so important that the PCB called Fakhar Zaman back from the CPL. He was playing for the Antigua and Barbados team.
Yeah.
I think I may have messed up the name up. The Antigua team.
Yeah.
With Imad and Amr in the same 11. And he was scoring runs. But PCB's like, nope, we need you back in Pakistan. So he left the CPL. He's back. And I actually had an issue with just how these teams were formed because I felt like a lot of the similar types of players were grouped in the same team. For example, Salman Al-Yaga and Iftikhar Ahmed, two guys who played in the middle order and ball off spin are in the same team. Osama Mir and Shadab Khan were playing for the same team. Not sure who decided that's a good idea. I think it would be better to see how they would do individually on different teams. Mohammad Rizwan and Hasibullah were put on the same team. Hasibullah, I think, is going through an injury. But again, it would be good to see him play for a different team
where he can
as a keeper. Yeah. Rather than, I think Rizwan is open to giving up his gloves for Hasibullah, but why even have that opportunity? Just put him in a different team. And what we find out from sources is that the captains had actually little to no say to making these teams, and these teams were made for them. Like maybe they had an opportunity to like add one or two players, but for the most part, these teams were made for them.
Again, lots of improvement, room for improvement in this, right? Somewhere I read that a lot of these teams were picked out using AI, which is also insane.
Well, firstly, Mohsin Naqvi says that there's not enough database of these players. And then he says that 80% of these teams were picked by AI and the rest 20% were made through human hands.
So, like again, like if you're gonna chat GPT your way through, bro, what are you in like A levels, O levels? Like what's going on? Why are you in high school doing your homework on the last night? I don't know, man.
And
Like
it seems like you can tell. We get a lot of emails and
yeah,
you can tell when someone's written a chat GPT invitation to a podcast.
and you can tell that these teams are made by AI
Yes.
because of the way that's they perform. Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. The thought is there, the idea is there. It's just the execution which is lacking. Which I feel like give it a couple more renditions, maybe it'll improve.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, my boy Naqvi is cooking.
Any impressive players so far for you?
Jandal Khan, I really like, and he's consistent. 4 for 49, hasn't taken a 5 for yet, which means that he's regularly taking wickets. Put him in the team. Let's see it.
Put him in the team.
Put him in the team.
What team?
The team that we all root for.
And this is the problem. This is one good season, like 4 good matches. This guy's like, John Dal Khan, put him in the team, bro.
3 good matches.
This is what Mansoor Rashid said. Mansoor Rashid said that suddenly, since these matches are being broadcasted, the fans are tuning in and they're like, oh, put this guy in the team, put that guy in the team. And then once they're put in the team prematurely, they flop. And they're like, oh, it's a bad player. Let's shuffle the player around.
All I'm saying is that Jandal Khan has been in the system for a while. He's been in the PSL
Bro,
for
he's
a while.
played, I think, in total, 25 matches. First class, list age 20s combined.
He's been there.
He's 21 years old.
I didn't say put him today. I said put him in the system and see what he can do. Not after the Champions Trophy. The Champions Trophy team is locked.
What's the team? What's the Champions Trophy team?
I don't want to spill it here.
Man, I speak
John Khan is in it.
I speak to fans on a day-to-day and
They stop you in Walmart.
Pakistan cricket fans are disheartened. They have lost hope. And at this point, some of them are even wishing the team ill. They're like, I hope Pakistan loses in the first round.
That was until Babar Azam scored 20 runs off of Dhani and ruined his day. And Dhani even retweeted that. And after that, fans are back. Fans are back, man. Those 20 runs.
The Babar Azam fan club loves this tournament.
Those 20 runs healed the nation. They healed me. I was like, and then those 20 runs happened after the toe. So,
and
does Jared Kimber know something we don't?
I've seen too many edits of Babar Azam scoring 100 and those cover drives and that cut shot. I'm like, again, TikTok generation.
Yeah.
Let's relax.
It was a nice 100.
It's a good 100.
Match winning 100.
30th list 8 ton for Babar.
Yeah.
Fastest to 30 list 8 tons.
Yeah.
Faster than Virat Kohli and Hashim Amla.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. Let's not do that.
I thought this kid named Abdul Samad was quite impressive. I've seen him bat. He bats at number 7. I think he also bowls medium pace, but some really clean hitting by him. I think there is sort of a space in the Pakistan team for a fast bowling all rounder or somebody who can hit in the lower end. And Amr Jamal, if he's not fit, let's have a backup for Amr Jamal. Also, great to see Haider Ali back in the runs. I think it's really interesting to see players like Haider Ali and Mohammad Haris, both who used to play in the top order for under 19 and first class, now reshuffle their positions in the lower middle order just so they can make a statement for them to play for Pakistan. I think they understand, like, as long as Babar, Rizwan, and Fakhr are there, it's hard to make a place for them within the top 4. So they're going and batting at number 5, number 6. And honestly, it's not bad.
I agree. I also love the fact that Agha Salman is cemented as Pakistan's prime bowling all-rounder. He's in the runs and the wickets. Sorry, he's in the runs. He's in the top 5 in runs and he's in the top 5 in wickets, which is just amazing to see. He hit a shine for very few good sixes in this previous game that just ended. And
Salman Ali Agha has really upped his game
He's a
since
find.
the last PSL.
It's definitely a find for Pakistan.
Like, I was initially shocked as to why Islamabad United picked him, but then I saw him batting and he's really improved his 6 hitting ability. He's always been a really good player of spin. So I think it's exciting times.
100% agree. With that, I think we've sort of given a good roundup of the Champions Cup. Still a bit rusty. We haven't been back potting in a very long time, and potting is a muscle. It's a little uh, sore, I guess. Haven't used it in a while. But at the same time, I love the fact that this room is the green that it is. Um, I love our new studio. I love the new lighting system we have. I love everything about it. I just feel very, very I feel a lot of gratitude right now for being able to, do this and keep doing this, and the way that we started this in a room in library. Now we have all this going on for us, which is amazing. Um, yeah. And any closing thoughts, Bashar? Just
No, I'm excited actually. Like you said, new studio, new setup, and there's just a lot of friction of recording podcasts. So having this setup enables us that we just sit, hit record, and start churning out episodes. And I think there is a busy cricket season coming up. This was a good break for us to have in the past few weeks. But I'm excited, I'm rejuvenated, and lots of more content coming up.
Yeah, and this is not the final setup for us. You're gonna see a lot of tweaks, maybe some extra lights. Feel like this my area on here, right here underneath the stumps is a bit dark. Maybe I'll throw in a lamp there, some fairy lights. I don't know. If you guys have any, suggestions for us, if anybody's a home decor person, please let us know what we can do to make it more lively. And yeah, just good times, good fun. And I appreciate everybody tuning in, listening in, subscribing, liking, all that stuff. We got a lot of messages actually in our off time at where we were, what's going on.
But one really cool, funny message. People were tagging us in the Babar Azam Jared Kimber clip, and they were sending it to us.
Mhm.
And they were like, "Guys, do something. Get this clip to Babar Azam." And I think we are just 1 degree of separation away from Babar Azam
Mhm.
because we have his agent's number.
Yeah.
Uh, so I think if we wanted to, we could really get that clip to Babar.
You don't think he's already seen it?
I think he's seen it.
I think it went so viral everywhere on Twitter, on Instagram. I think it got like 600,000 views on the first day. Everyone who's into cricket has seen that video. Again, shout outs to Jared. He did a very good job with that video essay. Um, but I think he's seen it. I don't know if he's taken any actual advice from it. People on the online are pushing that there is a difference between pre-video, post-video, and pre-toe, post-toe. I don't know, but I don't. It's just good that content is being made around cricket, and it's of that quality where we can assess a player after the publication of that video. So it's good stuff, man. I love it.
On that note, this is Bashar signing off from Backward Point. We'll catch you guys soon on the next episode. If you're watching us on YouTube, please feel free to subscribe. If you're listening to us on the audio platforms, it always helps to leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcast from. Until next time, catch you guys soon.
Cheers.